I played every mode on Siege of Cairo to see if everyone's right about this map. For those of you that want a quick answer, it's a coherent, well-designed infantry-focused map with light vehicles and a nice, legible lane design. For the rest of you, let's talk about each mode and see if this map is good or bad, and most importantly, why. And oh yeah, you might learn a thing or two about how to play each mode on this map. I'll be giving some tips and tricks about what I learned as I played through this map, basically on every single mode. As always, we're going to talk about visuals first. Siege of Cairo is located in, well, Cairo, the northeast part of Egypt. This city map being placed around a desert means it's full of tans, beiges, and neutral colors with not much greenery. This map fully shows off the nature of its locations, with roads and buildings being fully representative of its location with a rather neutral color palette. Visibility across this map is fairly unobstructed, with slight difficulty seeing enemies inside of buildings tucked in a dark corner, but this is more of a game issue than this particular map. This map has quickly become a fan favorite, and many believe it to be the best map in Battlefield 6 at this moment. Once you get a few games under your belt, you will see why. This map offers every single important mode to Battlefield, and it offers a playstyle and pace most Battlefield fans know and love. We're going to start off with the small map modes: Team Deathmatch, Domination, Squad Deathmatch, and King of the Hill. Then we will move to the good stuff: Rush, Breakthrough, Conquest, and Escalation. Team Deathmatch and Domination are played on the same section of map, basically the B flag of the first sector in Breakthrough or B in Conquest. This cuts off the center street, splitting A and B in both of the larger modes. Team Deathmatch has a great interior and exterior mix, with built-in elevation surrounding what in Breakthrough is the B objective courtyard. For Team Deathmatch, this map offers a great mix for different play styles. The east side, where the bus is, provides long lines of sight for snipers, DMRs, and other long-range guns, with the courtyard and this awning thing that I don't know what to call, offering gameplay for short-range weapons such as SMGs, shotguns, and anything else you want to use. This map on Team Deathmatch and most other modes rewards two things. One, a team and a squad that can hold a sector off from the enemies, and two, a team that has the ability to move this guarded area throughout the course of the map. Stick to other players. Moving in pairs slightly spaced apart is key. To win Team Deathmatch, you must control the second floor, which is not that easy as there's 4 entry points and many lines of sight to see up. But this makes it great to cover and access a large section of the map. If you control the second story, you can basically get anywhere directly. For a team that does not control the second story, there's always a way to get up there and clear it if you move with at least one other person. The street side offers great cover and is used in Team Deathmatch, but it is much better fit to discuss the street like this. Domination. Domination uses the same section of map with a slight increase in outside area, allowing you to move on the flank behind the bus, which is the B objective. This map is interesting for Domination, as the objectives are offset, with A and C being on the west side of the map and B on the east. This creates a situation where basically the A and C flank is often open if the B flag is being defended by the possessing team. This causes a real circular movement to the gameplay where each team goes back and forth between objectives, with B cycling back and forth all game, and no one side completely controls 2 objectives for basically the whole match. Domination on this map is the only mode that managed to frustrate me. Or I was hungry, that's always an option. When defending B on either side, there's great cover on the street. Each side gets solid cover, with NATO getting cars, allowing you to head glitch windows to see the bus and the objective, with packs having cars as well, with tires and carts lining the side of the road. I will say the pack side, there are 3 cars lined up back to front. I wish someone would have decided to park on the other side of the street for that day. It would offer a little bit more map diversity like NATO has, where you can stand off behind a car on either side of the street. But this is minor and doesn't affect gameplay at all. What does affect gameplay is A and B are closer than C and B. There are only two real passages from C to B. When a team has both A and B, you can basically always have a few friendlies breaking off to go defend A. The courtyard control becomes less important in this game mode than it does in Team Deathmatch, as it's mainly used for moving from point to point, but it can still offer great play for those that are defending the flanks and holding their given objective. Squad Deathmatch and King of the Hill cause me a minor irritation. They're played on basically an expanded section of the same portion of the map as Team Deathmatch and Domination, covering the entire first sector of Breakthrough. On its own, this isn't particularly bad, but there's an entire section of map not used in the small game modes. The beginning section of Rush or the last two sectors of Breakthrough aren't even touched in the small game modes. I personally think this is a waste of space, and players that stick to small modes do not get to experience all sections of this map because of this. I do believe that any of these modes could have been moved to cover the last sector in Breakthrough, which would offer a larger diversity of sightlines and layouts over the small modes as a whole. With something like Domination sharing the same C objective as Conquest, but that's just me. Playing all of these modes back to back really highlighted this flaw. In Squad Deathmatch, with 4 squads of 4 players, each squad moves in a grouped fashion around the map. Although a large chunk of the map is shared with Team Deathmatch and Domination, the locations are not. Squad Deathmatch is way more focused on the main street, often with fights happening across this awning thing that I still don't know what to call, and the squad spawning in the back corner of the map. There are many squads that try and hold this corner market thing, as it offers sightlines to basically cover every area in the middle of the map, but it's hard to defend and easy to attack. The best position is actually watching access to this area. You don't want to be the squad holding down the middle. You want to be the squad moving around the alleys, always peeking out to the middle, picking off players rushing to the center. Then regressing back to your little circular motion around the map as you push enemy squads from spawn to spawn. Most players here spawn and run towards the middle. If you run the outside alleys and cut them off, you can easily position yourself to get a lot of enemies from the side. Those are easy battles. King of the Hill is fairly similar to Squad Deathmatch, but the action is obviously converging on the given objective. 1 or 2 good rushing teammates to get to an objective first is usually enough, with the rest of the team staying back, picking off enemies as they enter the objective area. The spawns for this mode are interesting. After about 10 seconds of holding an objective, both teams spawn about 50 meters from the objective, causing a lot of congestion in the alleys leading to the objective area because both sides are trying to defend the objective. The areas away from the objective are usually fairly unused and easy flank routes. If you have enough time, go the long way. This allows you to pull off nice flanks coming from behind the enemies and clearing their side, allowing for easy access to the objective for your front line. Now we get into the bread and butter of this map, and man, is it good. Large mode infantry heavy play. We will start this off with my favorite large mode, Breakthrough. We cannot cover this at the same time as Rush, as they actually play in reverse order from each other. Breakthrough's first sector is the same section of map as King of the Hill and Squad Deathmatch, but with clear definition on which way players are moving, and that's the theme of this map. It is also the reason I think many players love this map so much. Each section of Breakthrough, and in reverse order, Rush, offers a form of the beloved lane map design. But this is Battlefield, so it's more like 4 or 5 lanes if you really think about it, but with converging alleys and passages to move from lane to lane. This, paired with minimal vehicles, lets all classes shine. The middle of the road offers sightlines for snipers, catching players moving between A and B, close weapon combat at or around any given objective, especially B, and mid-range guns around A work wonders. You can play anything you want here and have a place to shine. This, paired with the fairly easy to read lanes, gives definition on where the enemy is coming from and going. On defense, hunker down in front of A, picking off enemies as they approach from their one alley. Engineers and snipers stay in the middle road, as that's the only place a tank can roll. And all of you close range fighters, you guys have to lock down B and all of its entry points that we discussed in Team Deathmatch. Attackers, since A has such limited approach angles, I suggest trying to get B first. This will put enough players off of A to allow the main alley and road to be clear. As attackers, once you get enough players on or around A, Assault can place down spawn beacons and stay clear of the alley once you've pushed past it. For those attackers headed to B, go east by the bus. There will always be an enemy or two running down the street here. Just make sure to stick to the far right side. Once you pass B, you can enter the building and flank the enemy's upstairs covered area. This clears the front of B for your friendly attacking forces to pretty much just walk in and clear it. Sector 2. This sector converges into one singular objective with 4 main passages to get there. Once you fight the enemy back to their side of the street, this section is very team dependent. Some teams do very well blocking the left, others the right, and some the middle. Others don't do well at all. Down as many enemies on your side of the street as possible and enter whichever side breaks first. This is where the great engineer can shine. You get one tank. If you get a great driver, gunner, and an engineer repairing, you can clear the entire left and right side just enough to get a line formed on your side of the building. If you're able to, flank the enemy side of the street as attackers and shoot the defending team from behind. Defense must hold back the tank and keep it off the dividing street. This tank is very important to hold off of the front line. If you can keep it tucked on the left side street or over that little crest point on the right side, this is best. Once that tank breaks into the main road, it is a lot more difficult to hold C. Once the teams have been separated on their corresponding sides of the street, it's a power position battle to keep either side off the objective. Each team facing off on either side of the street with first and second story access on both sides. The team that knocks out the power position first usually wins here. Flank, 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 and don't let your tank get knocked down or destroy it, depends on which side you're on. Sector 3, we move back to 2 objectives. B is open with street and alley access, usually pushed by the tank. A is in a courtyard, which is basically infantry only. A has 4 passages for attackers, the front and back of each street, with defense having a middle alley from B to access A. A is the easiest flag to attack and hold the defenders back off of in the beginning, as B offers defenders an easy, clear route to reinforce from the spawn. Most games see A taken first and then B. This is the way I would push as the attacking team. Infantry to A, tanks and support roles to B. The final sector converges back onto a single objective, which is on the remains of a demolished building. Attackers have several converging angles to approach, completely open to side flanks on the right side. The main group of infantry approaches from the prior sector's A side alley, and some from the attacker's left side street. This side is the easiest to defend, and I recommend that as attackers, flank right behind the building or approach from the prior sector's B flag. Defenders, hunker down, they are coming. This last sector plays out as a massive bum rush to take each other out, with defenders having great power positions in the back building windows blocking the right side. Plenty of cover directly on the objective and rubble on the side of the street next to it. Just like chucking down the stairs in Operation Metro, throwables and moving as a group, taking out as many as possible is the only real strategy here. Once you're on, keep them off. Defenders, keep beacons as close as possible, staying tucked behind cover. Running back and forth across the objective will get you down by a stray bullet or grenade. Pick a side, find cover, hold it down. Which, crazy enough, works for the first sector in Rush, which is the same exact sector of the map as the last sector in Breakthrough, just facing backwards. The first sector in Rush has 2 MCOMs, as all other sectors do as well. This mostly plays out similar to Breakthrough in the reverse order. I do think all the same rules apply. Infantry focus with a few slight lines for snipers. We need a good engineer as there is a single tank, and attackers need to use this to their advantage, especially when taking B on the first sector. There is a second story sightlines towards the attacking spawn, which is very annoying. That's why most attackers go left towards A first. But a good attacking tank can clear the overlook area covering B, and that's basically all angles. Defenders destroy the tank out of the spawn. Attacking infantry should push A first and let the tank clear B. There are usually enemies in the middle mound where the final breakthrough objective is, so rushing straight out of the spawn is a bad idea. Section 2 of Rush is pretty interesting. You literally can't flank B. It's basically on the right side wall of the map from the attacking side, and there's no real way to get behind it unless you come through the A objective, which is fairly defended. The tank is very important in clearing the road. Again, engineers defend the B MCOM from tanks while the infantry break into the courtyard to get A. If you're starting to see a theme here, it's because that's how it works. Tanks are not overpowered here, but they are very impactful for a team that can keep it alive and use it well. All classes have a job and can play a role. The alleys are clear and defined, so you can slow down, hold down a section on any given side, and let it eat. Classic map design. The third sector of Rush is the second sector of Breakthrough, or the middle flag in Conquest, the bus area. Except this has one objective easily accessible by the tank following the main road, and the other, A objective, being accessible for basically infantry only. Defense needs to be played as such. Snipers get to the long alley following the tank. Engineers need to cover this and take out the tanks. Attackers send infantry to the A objective. Also, I have completely forgotten to discuss the medics' roles in all of this. Medics should not be pushing the front line in Breakthrough or Rush or any mode at that. When attacking, a medic needs to stay a few feet back, as friendlies will be down pushing any and all alleys. Once they are cleared, move forward to the next section. Medics need to follow behind the push, keeping the front line alive and healthy. Medics are the key to any good push here. Unless you're just a savage, in that case, take it yourself. For the final sector, the theme continues. The tank for the attackers moves along the right side street, except at the end, the tank is important in clearing the path. On this sector, I suggest the tank moves first, clearing a path to B with the gunner at range, peeking and pushing slowly as you see in this footage here. Defenders destroy the tank. The A-bomb is in the building that people like to cover in squad deathmatch, which is now an awesome power position as enemies cannot really come from behind the defenders until B is taken. Overall, the rush mode on this map is fairly balanced, with the tank playing an important role in any push and infantry having tight quarters to push through. Conquest and Escalation. They play at different paces, but obviously on the entire map. After playing all the game modes in the order that I'm discussing them, jumping onto Conquest was a breath of fresh air. With no air support, movement across the map is limited to walking, running, and slow-ish moving vehicles. This map plays slower than others. Not in a bad way either. This is the traditional 5-flag design on Conquest with the center objective and one on each corner of the map. It's a rush to the middle objective with the first to capture it getting a really big upper hand. A true battle across the street. You get players trying to flank and break the other's front lines, and there's always someone trying to take either of your gimme flags. If you can get C first and hold this down, this goes a long way. Tanks, engineers, snipers, assault, and medic all have key roles. Each team gets a tank, some four-wheelers, and an open Humvee. Destroying the tanks holding the lines is the name of the game. This map makes you feel like you are the king of map knowledge, with the basic lane design presenting itself where enemies funnel through a few choke points at C. Once you're in an objective, There are not many areas enemies can come from. Tanks are restricted to the streets or blocking off the ends of alleys, so infantry can easily move from cover to cover, checking corners without much worry besides the flanks. This is the most nostalgic feeling playstyle that Battlefield 6 has to offer, and this is a big reason why classic players are enjoying this map. Slow moving infantry over large areas. Run and gun play will get you shot from anyone sitting inside a building watching a choke point. This is clear defined strategy, and very rarely can a single player swing the tide of the match, unless they're the one in the tank bombing the crap out of the reinforcements. Again, one tank means a lot here. With Escalation, you get more of the same, but there are 7 objectives, reducing to 3 on a tight game where both teams end up taking 2 objectives. The pacing difference between Escalation and Conquest is very apparent here. On Conquest, you can spawn at HQ and work your way forward on foot. This adds travel time and a nice change of pace, slowing this map down a lot. Escalation does not offer that. D is the center objective, and it's fought over the same way as C in Conquest, with the same stakes except no tank to start. This is just Humvees and ATVs to get there fast, but the first team to take the objective is doing it infantry only. Light armor does not come until after a team loses their first objective. At this point, the match speeds up. The headquarters gets closer, so the battle tightens here. On Conquest, about half of each team is here in the middle at any given point, so about 10 players in the middle. With Escalation, this gets up to about 15. Flanking works well to push the team back, but not as many people do it successfully as on Conquest. Either team can spawn on the HQ and any adjacent flags to stop the flank. Win D. The final objective on a tight game ends up being a battle to hold D and stop the flanks simultaneously, with the heavy and light armor either taking D or holding down the back. This gets hectic as everyone is crashing down on the same space from a bunch of different angles. But Escalation on this map is fun. If you like old school Battlefield, stick to Conquest. If you like the newer fast paced Escalation on this map gets pretty intense at the end. Overall, this map is really good. Although it's not the largest, it uses all of its size very well. It's a simple lane design with a bunch of alleys with usable cover. Basically move with your squad and you stay alive. Tight quarters for short range shooters, long lines of sight for snipers blocking the cavalry, great defined lines for medics to reinforce the front line, and minimal vehicles, which makes engineers and a good driver very impactful even on Escalation. On any given mode, keep the tank alive or destroy it. It just depends on which side you're on. Subscribe for a day 1 breakdown of the season 2 maps just like this one. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with your Battlefield friends, and if you're bored, check out this breakdown of Blackwell Fields.